Guess what? It's me, it's Heather, and it's time for more A Case of Distrust. I'm looking at the thing. Is the volume okay? I haven't recorded this in like a month and a week, so I forgot what's going on. I'm sorry. Also, the window's open. It's kind of nice outside, and it's raining, so you probably hear cars. Maybe the rain. I don't know. Either way, let's try to figure out where we are, or were, or whatever. I'm tired. All right. Shipman had told me that Green had died the previous night at midnight. Okay. Oh no, this is gonna be bad. I don't remember anything. His case remained unsolved. As much as I despise Green for trying to use me as cover, that fact still nagged at me. Okay. Green was the guy that came to us, right? Shipman wanted me to meet him at headquarters, so I figured I would. I stood up from the creaking bed and surveyed the cluttered apartment. It looks the same, question mark? The cat's here. Didn't we get in like a car accident or something? Something happened and we woke up in our bed. I stared at the doorway and took a deep breath. I supposed I owed Shipman enough to help solve the case, even if Green had given me the runaround. After all, what type of detective would leave a case half solved? There was only one place to go. Although Green had just been using me, his life had apparently been in danger all along. I resolved to find his killer. I headed to the North Beach station for any information Shipman could give me before starting the chase. So we're doing like a whole separate case now because we were looking for Green and then suddenly Green was dead. The headquarters building? Yeah. We've been here. I stepped out of a taxi cab and walked through the station doors ready to chase any leads on Green, but standing in front of me as I entered, bawling her eyes from their sockets, was Miss Green. She saw me and brought her wailing closer. Hey. Malone, she exhaled through her sobbing. You were working for my husband. What happened? Her breathing obscured her next sentences, but I got the general idea. I told her I knew as little about the matter as she did, but that I was looking into it, and I was sure the officers were doing their best. She begged me to help them, again drowning most of her sentences with sobbing. I promised I would try. She took a slow inhale, raised her chest, and walked out of the station. Does that mean I can go question her now? Hi. When she was out of sight, Fred Grant came around the corner and let out a snort. Grant was another investigator for the SFPD. I studied his ruddy face, strewn with broken capillaries, that it gave me the impression of a map of streams. A cigar often poked through his mouth, hardening his jaw and twisting his face into a scowl. I suppose that was an appropriate look for a man who enjoyed his bribes in liquid form. Grant had never been a supporter of policewomen, and he was no fan of mine. He lighted the cigar and said, "The widow seems pretty torn up about him. You really helping her out?" I mean, it's not his place, but I don't want to, like... I said I was, and he gave another snort. Figures she'd go to you after we told her no. I raised a questioning eyebrow. Look, last thing I gotta do is head to the tin spoon, then this goes in the freezer. That meant he was about to close up the case cold. Aren't you chasing it up, I asked. No, because he's a fucking idiot. He looked appalled that I would even ask. We've got more to deal with than some dead gangster. The captain don't care about crap like this, so long as it's not spreading too far. And what about the girl? What does she expect, he asked. This broad goes and marries an Irishman. Probably killed by one of his own. I don't know what that means, and I don't want to know. Okay, that's what I figured. Yeah, it's a slur. We're not saying that. That's what I figured. Of course he's saying a slur. Okay. I gave him a frown, to which he responded, "Look, if the missus wants you on this, that's her gamble. But it ain't gonna lead you nowhere. Don't expect support from the boys. Boys. Not even if I find Green's killer." He laughed. "If you get a confession, we'll cop him. Not something the DA can thumb his nose at either. They gotta admit 3 things. Okay, 3 things. Means, how they killed Green. Opportunity, when they did it. Motivation, why'd they bother? You do that, then sure, we'll be right behind you. But there ain't nobody here looking into it, I promise." He pulled on a cap and walked out. Boosh. I hurled a glare in Grant's direction, and I was still fuming as I turned on the hallway towards Shipman's office. Shipman was frowning at the stacks of paper atop his desk, but he stood up and smiled when he saw me. "Glad you made it." I wanted to do both of these. I asked him what he found. I asked him what he found in the case thus far. He laughed and motioned to the paper stacks, not in any way related to Green, piled under the trash now. Nobody's looking into Green's case here. I must have scowled a mean look at him because Shipman was quick to shake his head. Not that the case is dead, PC, but Captain has no one on it. Even Grant's coming off as soon as he can. We're underwater with other bunk. "So you've nothing for me?" "Not true." Department still did the regular foxtrot. He tossed me a beige folder. Inside was a large black and white photograph of Green's face, muscles relaxed and eyes closed. It looked almost normal apart from his flattened hat behind his head and the dirt and grass behind that. The report behind the picture noted 3 important clues. First, that Green died at midnight the previous night. I cursed myself that I'd been so close to stopping it. Second, that Green was killed with 2 .45 caliber bullets in the chest. Those slugs weren't from a pea shooter. Green was killed by a mean gun. Finally, the green was found this morning laying in Washington Square Park, and that was only a block away from the tin spoon. I noted each of those facts and gave the folder back to Shipman. Do I have those in my notes? All we got, Shipman said, laying the folder back on his desk. Can pinch the gunman if you can prove the case, but you gotta solve it without much support. Don't have time to help either, he sighed. No point coming back here until you got your man. Great. Never had much support from the department anyhow. Well, Shipman sighed, at least I'm for you. But listen, we need a confession on this one. Captain doesn't want to run around. Right. Grant mentioned they'd have to admit how, why, and when they killed Green. That's it. Prove that. We'll pick him up, he said. Never been on a murder before, right? Can get tense. Just know, if you accuse someone but can't prove everything, they might turn like a switch. Might like you 1 minute but hate you the next. Chatting with folks is your easiest route to more information, but won't get any banner after you accuse someone of murder, so be careful who you accuse could make your case harder if you go the wrong way. Alright, I get it, I said it, and I internalized it. And remember, Shipman concluded, plenty of lies out there, but you can contradict means, motive, or opportunity with anything in your notes. I thanked him and walked out of his office. Oh, jeez. I stood outside the police station and went over the mantra. I had to prove means, motive, and opportunity for anyone I suspected of the murder. Once I found all three for a single person, I'd have them licked. I started out to begin the chase. Oh god, I don't know what to do! Barbershop. I guess I'm gonna go, like, everywhere. Oh, someone's here. Someone's in here. Is that him? Yeah, there was a man seated at the barber chair tapping his foot. I didn't see Stable anywhere. He stared at me with a grin that extended to his eyes. He was wearing a barber's cape, which told me he was here for a haircut. I wondered why Stable had left this man mid-trim. I asked how he was doing. Swell, he answered. Yeah, very swell indeed, thank you, miss. His words came out as Jovial's expression, and they held a slight and affable southern tint. A few more pleasantries returned, equally verbose responses, with no meat to them. They piqued my interest. A stranger at Stable's barber chair with no sign of Stable around. Who are you? I asked with genuine curiosity. I'm merely a mortal man enjoying my life at this very moment, he replied, looking me up and down. And there's much to enjoy. Oh my god, okay. I'll laugh. The old guy was getting fresh with me. His smile widened at my laugh. Glad that some flappers know how to take a compliment, he said. Most modern girls get their stockings knotted whenever someone calls them pretty. I want information. I agreed. Some girls take themselves a bit too seriously. Oh, okay. He laughed at that. Yes, I suppose that's true. Surely it is. Well, my name is Ray Carter, a regular jazz bassist at the Tin Spoon Lounge, a speakeasy in North Beach. It's my pleasure to meet you, miss. He worked at the Tin Spoon. That surprised me. Were you there last night? I asked. Until early this morning, he gleamed. I won a bucket of change at the poker table. Just about everyone was saying they never saw someone play cards so well. Sometimes you get lucky, I suppose, he winked. I wondered if he was at all related to this case. I was glad he was smiling. An upbeat suspect eased any harsh questions. He saw me taking notes and asked, and are you some sort of continental operative? When I nodded, he let out a whistle and said, a woman detective. Well, that is almost as swell a sight as a black man in a white man's barber chair. Yeah, let's just accuse Ray Carter right off the bat. It's like, accuse Ray Carter? No. No, I don't want to accuse him. Okay, so if he was at the Tin Spoon last night, I don't even know where to begin with this stuff. Oh my gosh. He said he was playing... Maybe we should go there. I was dumb. Hold on. I was dumb. I should have gone, like... I was just like, I'm gonna go to random places. I should go to the place where he was murdered first. We're gonna be killed outside the Tin Spoon. Because then if I see anything about where it happened, I can ask questions to people. I wrapped my knuckles on the same metal door. Instead of the usual dark eyes, the door swung open to reveal Fred Grant. He let out a PC, good seeing ya, with more whiskey on his breath than a fire breather. He stumbled down the next few steps and I caught his limp body. All loose ends tied up, he said, winking at me, while he tried to stand tall. Good job, dumbass. He says nobody came in or out from the upstairs billiards hall last night. A hiccup interrupted Grant's thought. Yeah, I should listen to you right now. You know, I believe him, but the Bulls need someone to work on, and putting welts on this goon will make the afternoon go faster. He again tried to stand upright. Failing at that, he stumbled to his police car, got behind the wheel, let the sirens loose, and drove the machine around the corner. Great. I continued upstairs to find a similar scene as the day before, only Tiny Paul had been replaced by a young woman idly playing with a deck of cards scattered across the billiard table. Okay, so what do we not have from yesterday? Cards. 5 aces, 2 aces of hearts. Okay, so is that what we were playing? I could see the tears welled in the girl's eyes. Who is this? I approached the young woman and looked her up and down. I studied her face. She was in her early 20s and was naturally pretty with deep eyes, shimmering black hair, and big rouged lips, though holding back tears somewhat twisted her face. I cleared my throat. Sorry. I cleared my throat. She turned around. Oh, she said, I didn't hear anybody after the officer left. Why were you crying? I asked. Her lower lip wavered a little, but she managed to stop it before any tears could get through. It's that copper who was just here. First he asked about green. Then what did he ask about? What do you think? He kept wanting me to feed him drinks. Oh. And the more I put in him, the more fresh he got with me. You should have smacked him. She laughed and exclaimed, you know, I did just that. I probably shouldn't have smacked a copper, but it felt good finally socking one of them. Anyhow, I'm just frantic because of the booze. I'm sure it'll wear off. She turned her gaze back to the cards on the table. She was putting up a strong mask, but I could tell something about Grant's interaction had rattled her. The truth is, most women wear a mask in public. Almost every one of us has a story about being mistreated or worse. Me too. I'm sorry, she interrupted my thoughts. I'm Ella Smith. I work nights as a backing singer here. I realized she was related to the Green case, at least partially, and I had to pump her for information. Okay, why did I hear about her before? Is it just because she was the singer? I feel like she was mentioned in some other context, besides just being the singer. Why did I wait so long to finish recording this game? Okay. Everything's fine. I don't think there's anything at home I need to ask her about. Although, no, because that's all. Well, there's. I wish I could read. Can I read the letter? Green, a typewritten letter. And you're. Okay. A black hand in the bottom corner. But it wasn't really a black hand note, right? She's sitting at the. Let's ask her about the cards. Those cards you're filling with, are they the same ones that the boys were playing with last night? She said they were. Why are they all still sitting out? Oh, ask her if... Yeah. What's his name? Where's Tiny Paul, I asked. I need to see him. Paul's likely as tired as I am. After the band finished, downstairs, we all came up to play poker. Paul and the boys were at it the entire night, so I assume he's at home. I asked if she knew where Paul's home was, but she shook her head. No, Paul and I aren't close. I'm not gonna contradict. I took her at her word and asked her about something else. I'm just trying to enjoy the nice day, I say as it's raining. I want to know more about what Grant... Let's not talk about... Okay. I want to punch that man. Can I punch that man? Is that an option here? Do they have a button for punch? Do you know anybody who had a gun that could kill Green? I asked. She looked at me puzzled. I explained myself. Miss, I'm just a private detective looking into the matter. I need to follow up with everyone. She looked surprised when I said private detective, but she didn't comment on it further. She chuckled at my question. I don't know if you know this, but, well, this place is a type of gangster hideout. No one in the band has shooters, of course, but just about everybody else in the building is carrying something. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'll ask specific things, and if they don't go anywhere, then I won't include them. So this video is not like 5 hours long, but like stuff that helps me along, I'll include. We'll do that. That was no help in narrowing my list of suspects, but I nodded my understanding. You don't carry a gun yourself? I asked. She shook her head. No, ma'am, no shooters in the band. She seemed adamant on that point. Alright. Green was killed around midnight, I told her. Do you remember anything from then? She turned red in an instant. Midnight was the time I sang all by myself to the crowd up here. How do you know it was midnight? I asked. Well, last New Year's Eve at exactly midnight, me and Little Fanny, you know, our lead, did a swell duet for the boys. They wanted to hear it again, but she wasn't around to sing it, so I did it alone. She wasn't around to sing it. And Fanny's the Fanny Green, right? The wife? Little Fanny wasn't around, I asked, but the doorman says nobody from the billiards room left the joint. Maybe she wasn't in the toilets? I didn't go looking for her. Look, I never get to sing lead. They don't like us Chinese girls doing that, so I took my chance. How could I turn it down? She asked. Well, anyhow, after that song is when I really downed some gin. I didn't much like it, but they said it was good for me, and I was riding high with everyone watching. I don't remember much after that. I thanked her for the tip. So you claim you were here. You claim you're in here at midnight. That's right. I don't want to contradict anything right now. Fanny was at the pool hall at midnight. Green died at midnight. I asked her again about her whereabouts the previous night. As I told you, she said I was up here the entire night singing to the boys. Okay. Let's go to... I want to talk to... Where was... Fanny. I came upon the greenhouse and knocked on the door. This time, Miss Green opened it quickly. Miss Malone, she panted with noticeable shock in her eyes. I'm just frightened about people knocking at my door, she said by way of explanation. After what happened to my husband, everything feels so cold. Oh, I'm blabbering. Please come inside. She led the way to 2 chairs and we sat down. She was more awake than the previous day, but her hair was a bit tousled and her S's hung in the air long enough to belie her lack of complete sobriety. Have you found anything about my husband's killer? She asked. I shook my head. And replied that there was nothing definitive just then. I said I would need to ask her some questions that might spark the investigation. She straightened in her chair and replied with certainly. Okay. Let's see. So we haven't got a chance to talk to her, like, at all, right? Like, what about just... No. Does she know about this? Your husband received a threatening letter, I told her. That's why he came to me. She sobbed. I know. The police told me the details this morning. That Connor had gotten a letter, that he'd begun bootlegging again, and that he thought a man named Redstone Stable was after him. It seemed they had told her everything. I turned the conversation to a different angle. Okay. So she knew about the notes. Does she have anything to say about the note? Oh, isn't her coat is the one that looks like my old mentor or my father or something? What was it? I glanced at the coat that hung on the rack. Where'd you get this? I asked. Her unfocused eyes moved to the gray trench. Connor brought it home one day, but it was too small for his frame, but I thought it looked swell on me. Seems built for a man, I said. Sure, but it's the Freedom Age, darling. We can wear anything or even nothing at all. Okay. So where'd Connor get this coat, huh? How'd you end up at Southern Coffee yesterday? I asked her. I told you I followed Connor to your apartments. I became furious when I saw he was calling on another woman. And why were you shattering your husband to be in with? I pressed. Oh, that. She started slightly. I'd heard rumors that Connor might have been unfaithful. I discovered they were baseless, but well, a wife never truly knows. That's why I followed you all the way to Southern Coffee. I had to know the truth, Miss Malone. Okay. That's right. She came in and got mad and then left, and that's where I was like, that jacket looks familiar. It's my dad's or whatever. So, does she have anything to say about this fucking letter? The letter that your husband received had a small black hand on it. That hand, I explained, is the symbol of the notorious Black Hand Gang. Miss Green's eyes went wide. Yes, but, I continued, it was a fake. The Black Hand doesn't run this far west. So who wrote it then, she asked. I told her I thought her husband had written the letter, and that I thought his bootlegging scheme was a bust. She sighed. I don't know about his dealings, Malone. Seems your husband was from St. Louis, I put to her. She squirmed but said nothing, so I pressed her. Miss Green, I'm investigating his death. You're right, she sighed. He had told me he was from out east, though he lied to everyone else. He claimed he had to flee from his past. I never asked the details, so that's all I know. And you're the first person I've told. Okay. He also had 2 train tickets to get there, I continued. He wanted to return? Well, those tickets have no date printed on them. She paused, looked at me from underneath long lashes, and continued. He was thinking of going back there. I guess whatever trouble he had was blowing over. But I refused. I told him I wanted to stay in San Francisco. Whenever Connor and I quarreled, a sharp wavering inhale cut off her sentence. Well, he kept them around to brandish, to show me that he loved me, and that he stayed here only for me. I nodded, and we spoke about something else. My cat is snoring. What were you doing last night? I asked. Her expression was surprised, but I told her that I just need to place everyone in their locations, Miss Green, to get a full picture of the evening. Of course, she said. Let's see. I was singing with the band. The show ending at about 10 o'clock. Then I went up into the billiard hall. Oh, it haunts me that Connor was so close when he was killed, she winced, but none of us heard anything with how loud we were and how sealed that building is. If he was killed at midnight, the show ending at about 10 o'clock, then we went up to the billiard hall. When did he say somebody said people didn't leave the billiard hall past midnight or whatever. How late were you in the pool room? Until early in the morning, say 2 or 3. Okay, so nobody left around midnight. Wasn't that what it was? Let me look at my shit again. Nobody through the pool hall entrance around the time Green had been murdered. Okay, so she went up there at like 10. So she was in... So we should be able to like go to other people and be like, hey, all these people, you saw all these people in that room, right? Although Ellis said Fanny wasn't in the pool hall at midnight. Because that's when she was singing, right? Should I contradict? I'm going to say he was killed at midnight again. We're going to try this. We're going to see what happens if I contradict. I was in the pool room from around 10 o'clock till early... Contradict. Statement. Ellis Smith says Fanny wasn't in the pool hall at midnight. One of your backing singers claims you left the upstairs room before midnight, I said from my notes. That's not true, she said defiantly. I was there the entire evening. She seemed quite sure, Miss Green. She sang to the drunken boys without you there. But I asked our doorman, Miss Malone. He says nobody left the upstairs room. You're doing your own digging, I asked. She blushed. I just have no confidence in the police. Anyhow, if nobody came from upstairs, that eliminates anyone in the pool room. I must have been in the restroom, if Ella's certain I wasn't with them at that exact time, because I could not have been outside. Okay. Fine. I brought up the hat on the rack. Who does that belong to? What do you mean? She asked. I think it's my husband's. Green was wearing his hat in the police photo. Fanny went at my reference to the photograph of her husband. He may have had more than one, she said. He may have had more than one? How often did you see your husband? Like, okay. So, okay, if Ray let's go back to the barbershop and talk to Ray again. Because Ray, we can ask about if Fanny was there. Was she in the pool hall? That's what I want to know. Ella Smith tells me little Fanny wasn't in the billiards room at midnight, I put to him. I remember her being there at the beginning and end of the night, but I cannot keep track of everyone at every time. If Ella seems sure, I have no reason to doubt her. So you're on Ella's side. Okay. Did I talk to him about this already? I was inside all night with the band and Tiny Paul playing poker. We heard no shots in that racket. What about... Was he the one... Do you have access to the gun Green was shot with? If I held one in the tin spoon, I'd lose more than my job. I like to keep my neck, so no, I don't carry one, nor do I know where to get one. Okay. Oh, he said he's playing cards, right? What about the cards? No, cards. What about Paul? We should ask about Paul, too. How much did you win last night, I asked. Oh, a heap of it, he grinned. And how many aces did it take to get you there? His face showed genuine surprise. How many aces did Tiny Paul think were in the deck? Tiny Paul's mean-spirited. He pays his pennies, wants us to be good. I'm not having that, and I'm not having that at all. I took him for a ride, and I feel no remorse for it. In some ways, it's all part of the game. I said that was alright, but Tiny Paul might see it differently. Oh, now, you wouldn't tell him, would you? I don't see a reason. So long as you tell me what I need to know. He smiled. Well, certainly, most certainly. What is it that you want? I was glad he knew the score. I want to know where Stable is, I told him. Stable was here, congenial and unhurried. Then he received a telephone call and said he had to check something at his Tanforan racetrack. He told me to just sit tight until he returned, and so here we are. So Stable had gone to his horses. Another lead that we need chasing. Another place to go. You know, he continued, I bet I had no reason to cheat last night, not with the way Ellie kept distracting him. Yes, he was very distracted indeed. I raised a questioning brow. Ella Smith and Tiny Paul have something going on. That girl throws herself onto him like she'd throw water on a fire. I noted that, then changed our subject of conversation. Okay, so can we go to the racetrack? I could ride over there and talk with him. Sure. The Tanforan racetrack had reopened the previous year with the help of millionaire Adolf Spreckles and some associates, one of whom was Stable. Today, no races were ongoing, and the sheer size of the empty grounds and the grandstands were impressive. I hopped the locked turnstile and wandered the grandstands and some of the grounds, but all my searching turned up nothing and nobody, not even Stable. I returned near the entrance to search for more clues. Oh, okay. Empty boxes were thrown next to the old betting house. I spent some time rummaging through them, but found nothing of interest. Wooden slats bordered the windows to the old betting house. The Walker Otis measure of 1909 prohibited gambling on horses, which meant most racetracks shuttered, including the Tanforan. But Stable and a few others investors reopened the track the previous year, claiming to operate without taking bets. Sure. I first snuck into the racetrack by jumping the locked turnstile, which had been easy enough. I could leave the same way. I removed the trash bin's lid to let my hands play with something while my thoughts had time to form, but peering in I saw the biggest break in the case thus far. An automatic pistol, 45 caliber, was right on top of the pile. I reached in to get a closer look. Oh. A throat cleared behind me. I pocketed the weapon quickly, then turned around to Stable's smug grin. Have you come to watch the horses? He asked. Rumor says that running through fire will be the victor, though at times it can be dangerous to put stock in rumors. Alright, dude. Aren't you supposed to be cutting someone's hair? Why aren't you cutting someone's... Is there a thing that says sitting in Stable's barber chair? Stable wasn't here. Can I say that? Why aren't you at your barbershop? Ray Carter told me something interesting, I put to him. He says you got a wire from somebody and rushed out, leaving him mid-trim. For the first time I saw Stable frown. Well, business and pleasure sometimes mix, Miss Malone. Yes, I was telephoned for a maintenance issue, but that's now all sorted. Sure it is. So why aren't you back at the barbershop then? Do I mention this to him, or would you think he'll like try to take it or something? Let's do some other stuff before I ask him about the gun. Redstone stable. How'd you know my name? I questioned. He smiled again. He apparently liked smiling when he was pleased with himself. Barbers hear gossip from around town, Miss Malone. Sometimes that gossip is worth remembering. And what gossip had you heard about me? I asked. Just that the niece of the late San Francisco detective Louis Malone had resigned from her policeman duties and taken up private detective agency. But that was months ago, was it not? I confess, I have not heard much since. I asked if he'd known Louis. Not well enough, he said. I hear he did his job by the letter of the law, and I lost that alphabet years ago. Okay. So are you gonna go back to Ray? Claims he doesn't bootleg. Only gives friends haircuts. Is Ray your friend? I brought up the furniture in his barbershop. Elegant trappings for a barber. Math was never my strong subject, but I can't see a barber making enough for all of it. He smiled. Yes, I have other methods of procuring wealth, but I do not engage in illicit activities, if that's your implication. I asked him again about giving me a haircut, but Stable wouldn't budge. Alright. Fuck you too, then, dude. I'll cut my own fucking hair then. I actually do cut my hair. I haven't been to like a shop. You can tell my hair's ridiculous. I haven't been to like an actual shop in I don't know, 6 years? Green's Oakland Pass is a lie. Was his Oakland Pass, did his Oakland Pass have something to do with Connor Green says he's from Oakland, nobody knows him before 1920. Did you know that Green is lying about his Oakland past? Asked Stable. Stable raised his eyebrows. Well, you're volunteering quite interesting information. I did not know that, but thank you for it. You're welcome, I guess. Oops. I told him that Connor Green was found near the Tin Spoon, the coroner reporting his time of death around midnight. That is a late hour, Stable said. Miss Malone, I'm always fast asleep in my bed at that time of night. So nobody was there with you? No, I was alone. In response to my raised eyebrow, he continued. I would never lie to you, Miss Malone. Of course, it would be just as difficult for you to disprove my story as it would be for me to prove it. And we live in a civilized nation that requires your proof, not mine. Stable might have had the opportunity to kill Green, but I'd have to first place him concretely. I assure you, he said, I was at home asleep that time. Okay. Okay, chill. Killed with a 45. Do we know about, Green was shot last night. I told him, any chance you know the piece that plugged him? Miss Maloney said, I'm not the sort to be associated anyway with a pistol. Okay, so if I ask you about the gun then. I found an automatic in your trash bin. This 45 is a gangster caliber. What are the chances it's the same one that killed Green? Stable frowned again. I was beginning to like his frowns. So it seems to me, I continued, that your boys found the murder weapon in the trash, then called you around to see what to do about it. Yes, he admitted, I was telephoned to look at the weapon. We were about to phone the police about it when I noticed you wandering the grounds. And then I got my fingers all over it. Why were you so interested in the Green case, and why is this gun here? He sighed. Do you remember, Miss Malone, that Connor Green had already attempted to frame me? Once I'd learned of his death, I thought that whomever had killed him would also try to blame me. I invited Carter for a trim in exchange for information about the murder, and I told my associates to watch for anything suspicious at the racetrack. As soon as the gun was found, they telephoned me, and here we are. So you still won't admit to the murder, I pushed him. Think what you want, Miss Malone, but I had no reason to kill Connor Green, and if you think otherwise, you're just playing into the game set up by the real killer. That was the story Stable was sticking with. Still, I was much further along than I had been, and that gave me reason to smile. So I guess finding... Okay. He doesn't... Is he gonna be here still? Because I want to go... I want to go ask... I want to ask her about... this, first of all. Ray Carter tells me that you and Tiny Paul are close, I said. Is that true, Miss Smith? Smith squinted at me hotly, then let out a sigh. Okay, he's right, she blurted. I'm in love with Paul. That's no crime. It was obvious she'd wanted to hide their relationship. If the two of them ever broke it off, her career would be doomed. I empathized with her. The heart never plays fair. This won't get out on my account, I promise, but you have to tell me Tiny Paul's whereabouts. She sighed and gave me the address of Pacific Heights apartment building. He just lives in a penthouse on the top floor. Just don't tell him I told you. I thanked her for Paul's address and changed the subject. Now, what about... why can't I say that she claimed that she wasn't... that she was there? Do you know what I mean? Like, shouldn't there be a thing that says, Miss Green was at whatever? So can I go to his apartment now? Oh, I can. Oh, I can. Okay. Paul's building was still new, built only a few years earlier. I'm recording, right? Yes. Paul's building was still new, built only a few years earlier, but it was already a beacon of Pacific Heights, tall and proud above its surroundings. Its crisp vanilla interior was accented with gold, and its elevator was run by an equally immaculate operator. I rode it to the top floor bungalow that belonged to Tiny Paul. Paul's home was extravagant. Every item adorning the walls was of high quality, but there was an evident lack of finesse to their combination, as though Paul had simply purchased expensive accoutrements without any thought for design. A hat hung from the rack, nailed to the back wall, as did an empty gun holster. Okay. Paul's light brown shoes were discarded beside the couch he lay on. A wrapped bouquet of flowers lay on the table. They were a vibrant yellow. They reminded me of flowers I'd seen earlier, but I couldn't place them at that moment. Was it Fanny who was like, I love chrysanthemums? Woo! Okay. A cluster of brown glass bottles were on the far table. They were empty. Couch and chairs had patterned olive-colored cushions. Their arms and legs were gaudy shades of gold, matching the gold of the tables. Okay. Tiny Paul sprawled across the Chesterfield, smelling of rubbing alcohol. I said hello. It took a century, but his eyes eventually climbed to meet mine, and he slurred a greeting. I figured a drunk Tiny Paul could be more honest. I thought it was a good time to grill him. Time to Grillo. Have you had Grillo's pickles? They're so good. They have this thing called Pickle de Gallo. It's so good. Sorry, I can't remember what I asked him when we first saw him. That's right. So you gave Green the dough, I asked? That's right, he sighed. We gave him the cash to get the supply going. And then he was gonna run out on you? He nodded. So you know the game. You did too? I replied, surprise evident in my voice. Early this morning, he slurred, I went to... Well, you don't need to know where. Even inebriated, Tiny Paul knew not to give away any family secrets. Anyhow, it's enough to tell you this. Green was pulling the bait and switch. He wanted to take our money and get out of the city. He had no plan to sell us any of the stuff. So yeah, I'm glad he got what was coming to him. But no, he extended the last letter. I'm not the one that plugged him. As much as Paul claimed to not be responsible, I wondered how much I could trust the word of a gangster. At least his drunken speech had given me a possible motive. Okay. Can we ask about the plant here? I noticed the flowers on your ottoman, I said to him, a vibrant yellow, though I didn't peg you as a tulip kind of gal. Well, he hiccuped, you hardly got to know me. Who are they for, Paul? My mother, he said with finality. Tiny Paul didn't strike me as a man who would buy a dozen flowers for his mother. He wouldn't tell me who the flowers are for, but I just let go then. I didn't let go. I know a girl who likes flowers like the ones on your table, I said to him, called Green, but she likes yellow flowers. How do you figure that? I don't think he liked the way it figured. He stared at me, eyes ablaze. That told me all I needed. Tiny Paul was Fanny Green's admirer. What are you saying, Malone? Just asking questions. I said to him, a detective has to cover all her leads. Paul took a heavy sigh, but in his drunken state, he didn't do much more. Okay. Okay. Can I just ask about her? I guess... Green's wife is a torture at the Tin Spoon, I asked. Paul smiled. With the pipe she's got built into that body, she's the reason most fellas come back to the joint. Okay. And how do you... Green was killed around midnight. Do you remember anything from then? After the jazz stopped playing at 10, I went up to the pool room to shoot. I think the whole band came in. We played cards until early morning. So you were in the Tin Spoon all night? I asked. After 10, he nodded, though I did leave before then. I met with Redstone Stable at 9 o'clock, then around 5 in the morning. It seemed like he hadn't slept much. You met with Stable, I asked? Why? I ain't telling you that, sister. Then why should I believe you at all? Believe what you want, he snorted. I was in the pool hall when Green was shot. I'm not going to contradict him right now. I told Paul the Green had been killed with a large automatic. He replied sardonically, what is our country coming to? So many people owning firearms. You don't have anything to say about it, you smarmy bitch? I mean, like, didn't someone say, was it Ray? No. Was it Ella? Yeah. Ella Smith tells me that most of your regulars are packing heat, Paul frowned. If you'd like to put me on the stand for crimes my patrons commit, I don't think I'd have any chance of beating the rap. But I don't control what my guests do, Malone. Bitch, I wasn't talking about them. I was talking about your dumbass. Okay, this guy annoys me. Could you imagine me going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth? Why were you... It's like I get one note and I have to go talk to someone else. I gotta like run across town. Tiny Paul said, why didn't you sleep all night? Redstone slept from when they met at 9 to their next meeting. Tiny Paul tells me you two met last night, I put to Stable, and then you met early again this morning. He says you look very ragged. Not much sleep then? Very well, Stable said. I do admit that I spent yesterday searching for information on this case, and then perhaps the search bled into this morning. In my situation, would you not also look for clues against Green, a man who had accused you of blackmail? I must have beamed at him, armed now with the knowledge that Stable had no alibi the previous night. However, he continued, in my search to clear my name, I did find a fact that might interest you. A fact that I kept to myself, but if Paul wishes to lay claims at my feet, I might as well tell you. I looked at him quizzically. The Tin Spoon has a back exit. Patrons likely have no suspicion of it, but I'm certain many of the staff know. They can only leave without anyone noticing. And how do you know this? I asked. Never mind how I came by the information, just be thankful I'm giving it to you. If you don't believe me, I encourage you to ask others about it. Okay, let's go ask others about it. Redstone Stable. The Tin Spoon has a back exit. I have a source that tells me there's a back exit to the Tin Spoon. I said, know anything about it? Back exit? No, I'm afraid I have never heard of such a thing. Okay. Hey, it's me again. Do you know about the back exit? Oops. I have a source that says there's a back exit at the Tin Spoon. What do you know about this? Ella Smith nodded. Yes, we do have one. It's behind the women's changing rooms. I can't imagine any of the men know about it. They would never be able to get back there without causing a riot, but the girls use it whenever we need to slip away from customers who are, she paused, too eager. So there's a back exit to the Tin Spoon that only the women know about. That's right, she said. Okay, let's go ask Fanny. There's a back door that only the female performers can use. Is that right, Mrs. Green? Oh yes, she said. I think you're right. I stepped out at some point during the night, Miss Green admitted. Sometimes a girl needs fresh air. But I cannot have been gone long. I was in the billiards room most of the night, so Mrs. Green had no alibi at the time of Connor's death. I noted that and continued asking questions. No, I didn't. Not right now. What if we ask him about the back exit? Oh wait, did we ask him about her? Ella Smith tells me little Fanny was absent from the billiards room at midnight. I told him. So? He asked impatiently. So was she? Malone, when I've got my head down in a poker game, the building could burn to the ground and I wouldn't notice. I know she came with us, and I walked her to a cab when we left. Otherwise, I don't know who was in or out of the billiards room. You're useless. Stable tells me there's a back exit to your joint. I put to him, might you have escaped that way last night? Back exit, Paul asked. I don't know what medicine Stable's using or what medicine he should be using, but I don't know of any back exits to the Tin Spoon. Sure. However long I pressed him, Paul would admit there was any way out of the Tin Spoon beyond the front door. Is the gun I have hid? Because there's no there's no thing in that. I pointed the empty holster in the room. That strap just holds your slingshot. Paul's deep breath carried more booze than a bootlegger's truck. All right, Malone, he said with slurred words. I do carry a gun, but you're barking up the wrong tree. Lay off if you know it's good for you. You don't even know what my gun looks like. Do you want to bet? I chose to let that slide just then. I do know what it looks like, but I'm gonna ask him about the gun at the racetrack. I described the gun I'd found and how it matched the type gangsters you're known to carry. And I don't see your gun around here, I ended. His jaw stiffened. I keep my gun in that holster. And when I'm not at home, that holster stays on my person. Or in my jacket. So where is it now, Paul? What if I told you I lost it yesterday? How could you just prove that? I raised an eyebrow. A weak story, Paul. Weak or not, it's what I'm telling you. What are you gonna do about it? Just asking questions. So he has no idea where it went. Okay. Good. Someone close could snag his gun. Okay. If someone close could snag his gun. Okay, then it's really suspicious that she just, like, left the room to get some fresh air right outside. If these two were not together, you know. I like how she followed me. Like, her husband was cheating on her with me and, like, followed and yelled at me, but, like, she's cheating on her husband with this guy. I don't think it's Stable. Right? I don't think it's not Ray. It's not Ella. She was singing. Hey. So, I have some questions for you. And we asked why she was in the pool hall at midnight. So, and she's like, oh, I did whatever. So, she had the means to do it. What about... Paul is an admirer of Mrs. Green. I've had a few sources connecting you and Tiny Paul. Mrs. Green, is he your lover? Her face turned crimson. She denied her claims with just about every word in the thesaurus, but that face had told me enough. Her and Tiny Paul were having an affair, which could give her enough motive to kill her husband. There's her motive. The means she could have got the gun. I mean, how? Like, she got the gun from him and then left out the back door, right? Do I have all the things for that? I mean, you have no alibi, right? I asked her again about her night. I may have stepped out for a bit of air, but surely wasn't gone long. That bit of air still could have given her enough. Yeah, okay. This seems too... It doesn't seem obvious, but like, none of these other people are jumping out like this. The fact that she just went out for that short period of time to get some fresh air and could have got the gun from him. No. I'm second guessing. I thought of accusing Fanny Green of killing her husband. Accusing someone of murder. Okay, accuse her. Let's try it. Fanny Green, I started boldly. You killed your husband. A stillness permeated the room as I spoke my words. I can prove your means, motivation, and opportunity for the murder. Fanny's face contorted like I'd first seen her at Southern Coffee. She barked at me. What are you saying? I love my husband dearly, but I was cheating on him. How dare you accuse me of murder? She huffed her way out of breath, which gave me a chance to prove it. Good. Prove means. So how did she get the weapon to do it, right? The means, the opportunity is when, so it's when she went outside, and the motive is the cheating, right? Okay, so means is like how she could do it. Let's see. Following her husband, Redstone, no. Would it be this one? Cause like he's like, when I have my head down at a poker game, the whole place could burn down and I wouldn't know. So if someone took his gun from his holster, it was one of these holsters? It was like a shoulder holster, right? She could have just came up and took it. And we know it was his gun, so... Jacket or on his person. Okay, so it could have been his jacket, too. Tiny Paul's gun is missing, and he says only somebody close to him could grab it. What are you implying, Miss Malone? Just that anybody in the billiards room could have taken that gun. Miss Malone, I'd be crazy to try and take a gangster's gun. He'd have shot me with it first. I was not close to Tiny Paul. Okay. I'd shown Mrs. Green that Paul's missing gun could have been the murder weapon, and yet but I'd yet to tie her to it, and I'd yet to prove any motive or opportunity. Motive. She's having an affair. Having an affair with Paul. That you were close enough to Paul to take his gun. She screamed until she was blue, but I didn't believe her denials. An affair could give her enough motivation to kill her husband, and access to Paul's gun would give her the means. I'd shown Miss Green that Paul's missing gun could have been the murder weapon. Considering her fear of Tiny Paul, she also would have had the perfect motive to kill her husband. I just needed to prove that Mrs. Green had the opportunity for murder. She did, when she fucking went outside. She has no alibi. I mean, is that enough? You admitted to being gone for parts of the night. I told her that could have given you the perfect opportunity to murder your husband. She huffed at that for a while, but it stuck. It was clear now. I put it to her, Mrs. Green, you're the only one of the suspects with provable motive, means, and opportunity for murder. Yeah. Because, like, Stable couldn't have gotten the gun. He wasn't in there, right? Like, they met up. Well, I guess they met up. He could have taken it then. Shit, I guess it could have been Stable. You knew you had to leave your husband. You love Paul, and as often happens, you began hating Connor because of it. So you tailed him to see what he was scheming. Maybe you could sink his plans and have the mob do your dirty work. Then you met me. You learned your husband had been receiving death threats, and you knew that was your play. If he died, police would blame it on the underground. So last night, after your singing, you called Connor to the Tin Spoon. You snuck out of the billiards room the back way, taking Paul's gun with you, and that's when you shot him. She looked at me hotly, about to burst, but then she sighed and stared down at her feet. She began to cry. However many opiates were running through her blood, they had lost all their effectiveness. I put an arm around her as she wept. Connor made my life miserable, she said between sobs. Look around this dump. That's how ruined I am inside. Oh, that manipulative little sneak. You're right, I hated him. That's why I started going with Paul in the first place. She balked at my surprise. Oh no, I never loved Paul. I wanted him to kill Connor. But after learning about Ella, she trailed off. Oh, how could I convince Paul if he loved someone else? I had no way of leaving Connor. I slumped back to misery. What about a divorce? I offered. Divorce, she screamed the word back at me. Connor would never give me that. They say we're emancipated, sure, but we still need our husband's permission to leave his home. I was the only good thing that bum owned, and he would never let go of me. That's why I was chasing him yesterday, she continued. If I could prove infidelity, okay, I demand a split in the court. I got all excited when I saw you standing in your doorway. She started breathing more heavily. I had to follow you to make sure, but I was certain I had my out. Only, she sniffed, only it happened you were above board. You were a detective, and I was still trapped. After we met, I came home to find Connor waiting for me. He said we'd be leaving for St. Louis. She took a gasp of air and continued, leaving everything I knowed for a place I'd never been, with a man I didn't love. I couldn't do it, and I told him so, and then he struck me. Oh! She wiped away her tears, and with them came her blush and thick camouflage powder. A liver-colored spot the size of a silver dollar showed on her cheekbone. He just marched out the door, she continued through her waterworks, and I didn't know what to do. And then you thought of Paul's gun, I concluded for her. That's right, maybe Paul wouldn't kill Connor, but I knew he carried a cannon, and I knew I could get to it. So you took Paul's gun and killed your husband, I said. No, she said. No, that was my plan, but... She broke off her sentence with a sniff and started another. I went to Paul's apartment late in the afternoon and grabbed his pistol. Then I came back here. I sat in this chair, petting the gun in my hand, wondering if I would do it. That's when he came in. Your husband? I offered. No, a much kinder man. Oh, he listened so well. I even told him about, she paused, about my plan. The other man, you knew him? I asked. She nodded a yes. He said he understood everything. He said he could frame the murder. He said not to worry. He took the gun. Oh, she cried, but I couldn't let him go through with it. You see, that's why I left the tin spoon last night, to stop him. That was when I met Redstone Stable. In response to my raised eyebrows, she explained, I only met him last night. I had no idea that he had anything to do with my husband until this morning. The police told me at the station that Connor had suspected Stable. But I knew instantly that he was a terrible man. A woman's intuition never lies. Stable talks like a snake and has the looks to match. So you were both searching for the same person last night, I asked. Yes, but he wasn't around, I think, she sobbed. I'm tired of this. I said, who is it? It's the owner of that hat, she said, pointing to it. It's Franklin. Frankie? I asked. She continued slowly. Yes, he took the gun from me yesterday. I was too dazed to argue. Nice story, I said, but you still fit the bill just fine. Phyllis, even if I had the gun... How could I know where to plant it? I only met Stable last night and I knew nothing about him. Franklin had known about the case from you, isn't that right? What's happening? You're only telling this to me now? I asked, what's the big idea stringing me along? Phyllis, she said softly, Franklin did this for me. He saved me. If that awful man Stable has to take the fall so that Franklin can stay free, well, she trailed off. I shook my head and looked at her. If she was telling the truth, Stable could confirm it. And if she was lying, I thought, what if she ran? Well, she would get stopped soon enough. Good looks can be a curse, but it would be a cinch to snatch her. Besides, with those opiates in her, she would have difficulty standing, let alone running anywhere. I gazed at her, and she understood what I was thinking. I'll be right here if you come back. I wondered why she would fabricate such a story, if she knew she was stuck. Then I thought, what if it was the truth? I had to speak with Frankie. I was going to say, at first I was like, who the hell's Frankie? And then I was like, oh, he was my friend from the bar. He was the dude that was like, my friend. He's my friend, supposedly, okay? Okay, sure, let's go. Let's frickin' go. Frankie had been infatuated with Mrs. Green, and he could have gone to visit her. He could have taken the gun. He knew about Stable from when I told him of the case, and he could have planted it at the racetrack. Those facts might be explained away innocently, but it was the combination. Frankie was the only person with the means, motivation, and opportunity to kill Green. Okay, I don't remember anything about Franklin because that was last time, so... Hey! He gave me a generous smile that I knew well. I pulled out the hat and showed it to him. This hat belongs to you, I said in a flat tone. Frankie gaped. If I had any doubts, that look erased them. You killed Connor Green. Frankie's next sentence was short, delivered after a sigh. I always remembered it. I can't lie to you, he said. My jaw began to quiver, either from sadness or anger. It was hard to be sure. Why get wrapped up in this? I asked. Does that dimpled girl mean so much to you? Frankie shook his head. This will be a long story, he started. All right. Tell me, dude. I let him talk. As heated as I was, I had to know why Frankie would kill my client. It's that sheet, he motioned to the newspaper flap on the bar. 1887. The St. Louis Browns, my last good season. My career was ruined by Thomas Kinney. I don't know how long the story's going to be, so I'm going to read it. I'm going to skim it, and you can pause it if you want. Local kid comes up to the fence and calls him Murray. Tells Murray that every Browns player has to sign a letter. I was torn up about it. In the end, I guess I just was a kid who wanted to play. It was just the worst decision I ever made. I kept listening. Booze Hound of St. Louis. Last the tales of old Thomas Kinney and a way of telling them. Just a few weeks later, he died of tuberculosis. So I went to Philly. I ran into old pitching partner Matt Kilroy. great life in Philly, but I had to give it up. Couldn't put my new family in danger. I fled. That's when you discovered that Green was part of Egan's rats. You wouldn't let them ruin you a third time. Frankie laughed. No, Malone, I could have run easy. My life here ain't much. I have nobody here, really, except you. Sure, I could flee somewhere else, but it's you. Egan's rats won't leave an end loose. If Green had reached St. Louis, they'd have come back and tied you up. I can run from town to town, but I can't make you do that. I was the one who told you to take the case. Remember, I had to stop them from hounding the rest of your life. I stared at him without thought or emotion. He said, I did this for you. Poetic, Frankie, I countered, but this only proves that you had no faith in me. Just like Green, who hired me because he thought I wouldn't see through a scheme, or his wife, who was hoping I would gum up the works of the police. You thought I couldn't hold my own. I'm just some flapper playing in a man's world, is that right? Frankie shrugged. I just want to protect you. I can protect myself, I told him, and without any murders. He sighed. I suppose I wouldn't blame you for taking me in, he said. No, I won't fight if you want to drag me to the hall. But the police have stopped looking for a killer. If you let me, I'd keep running. You know what? Oh, okay. Because I was just like, the police apparently don't care. I figured it out on my own. That makes me wonder if there'd be something different if I clicked arrest him. I'm gonna look, hold on. Okay, I looked up people talking about it, and someone said there was a video where someone also didn't arrest him that I watched to see if they arrested him or not, and they didn't, and someone in the comments was like, I wonder if it's the same if you arrest him, or if it's different, and they're like, I might have to go back and try it, and another person commented and said, it's the same. So. Ooh! It was a few mornings later that I received a knock on my door. A small man in a light blue uniform asked me to sign for a package and handed me an envelope and a brown box. I opened the envelope. Inside was Frankie's scribbles, only slightly more legible than hieroglyphics. The writing was curt. Blowing the berg, it started. Too much baggage around to keep the sack going. Went back to the missus for my hat, spotted this. She agreed you should have it. Hope it serves you well. You've become one hell of a detective. Good knowing you. The final two letters were obscured by a small wet blotch on the page. Thanks for everything, Frankie. Is it my hat? I mean my coat? I put the note away, but not before a drop fell on the name Frankie, creating my own small wet blotch. I turned the box and removed one side of tape from the cardboard, then snapped the flaps open with a couple of loud pops. Rolled in a loose ball inside the box was Lewis's gray coat. I put it on and looked at myself in the mirror. Cute! I grabbed the lapels and pulled them tight. The trench coat suited me. I wondered how Green had first gotten hold of it. That innocent question was about to lead to a lot of trouble. Got a new look. Master Sleuth got a new look. So we wouldn't have got... So I'm assuming the original part is the same. But that's probably different. Does she send you well, she wouldn't know about the thing, though. That does make me wonder what the after credits scene is like then, but the person in the comment said that the base, like, you click on it and then it goes straight to the credits is the same. So, I guess there's no, like, taking him into the office. But then do you not get your coat if you arrest him? Or do you get a different one? I'm very curious. Okay, I found it. I had to go through like 4 videos before I finally found someone who arrested Frankie. Apparently not a lot of people arrested Frankie. It was a few mornings later that I received a knock on my door. Okay, inside was a large looped writing of Mrs. Frances Green. It was a long note spanning multiple leaves. I only skimmed most of it. She must have used every allegory known to man to apologize for her behavior in the case. She then claimed she was starting life anew, ridding herself of reminders of her late husband. Finally, she said she was sorry about Franklin and any part she played in his unfortunate actions. As I read the name Franklin again, a drop fell and smudged the ink. I wiped my cheek before more drops could join it. Mrs. Green's note ended with the hope that this gift of hers would begin to remedy any grudges I held against her, though truly I felt none. I turned the box and removed one side of tape from the cardboard, then snapped the flaps up with a couple loud pops. Rolled in a loose ball inside was Lewis's gray coat. You get the coat from her if you don't get it from Frankie. But yeah, that was a case of distrust. I wish I'd played it all more put together instead of a month apart, but I didn't, so I forgot a lot of things. But I'd probably cut a lot of stuff out because I ask people so many things, and I don't want the video to be like 4 hours long, so I'm only going to keep in parts that need to be in. That's it for another C game. I hope you're having a great everything, and I will see you in whatever the next video is. Bye!